of MAD Talks, and I would like to thank you for joining us this evening for this week's MAD Talk. Tonight's topic is The Fruit We Bear, Forgiveness, Humility, and Laughter by Mr. Cerecerez. Please be respectful and silence your phones. Do not interrupt the speaker, and if you have any questions, please wait until the end. So without further ado, I would like you to join me in the applause to welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Cerecerez.
Alright guys, so I don't have a microphone, so I'll try my best to project towards the back. Can you guys hear me back there? Yes, we're good. Alright guys, so hello, and again, welcome. I hope you're all feeling well after a few hectic days of testing. It's smooth sailing from here forward, guys, but I mean, who's counting the last 10 and a half days? Thank you to MAD Club for putting this event together. All the students here who make this happen. Please, if you haven't done so already, we have snacks and coffee and water. I didn't provide them, but I'm good at offering and I'm good at consuming. Thank you to Austin Library. I don't know if Ms. Hampton and Ms. Morrill are hanging about, but they have a hell of a job to do, packing literally everything in this library by the last day of school. This is the second of 3 scheduled MAD Talks. Last week, if you weren't here, Ms. Chavez did an awesome presentation on why it's so difficult to have self-control, and the verdict says, I'm still struggling with self-control. Next week, we'll have Ms. Nava, who's here with us. She'll be talking about overcoming adversity. An event like this has been something that I really dreamed would happen here at Austin ever since I went to go see some of the Rojo's students give what was called an Austin talk. She had her AP students meet in the theater, and they talked about problems in society and what are some of the ways that we could solve those problems, or maybe give new outlook into some of those things. Also, we had a poetry slam not too long ago where students came forth and let out their emotions and their creativity in front of their peers. And so one of the things that people don't realize is that standing amongst people you know and speaking and becoming vulnerable takes a lot of effort. Okay. So I'm really excited to be a part of this MAD Talk moving forward, and I know that's something that will be continuing here at Austin, because I do believe that people need to gather as a community. People need to have more sharing of ideas, more conversations with one another. Excuse me. So, for those of you who don't know me, I am Mr. Cerecerez, finishing my 5th year as a teacher, 4th year here at Austin. I teach English, usually stick with freshmen and sophomores. So my topic, the fruit we bear, will provide some insight into my experiences through life and how I learned through them, and hopefully it will be something that you can all take with you and apply it to your own experiences. Whereas Mrs. Chavez's talk was very informative and it followed a really nice logical progression, mine will be a little bit more personal, so be prepared, because by the end of this you guys will know me very well before you walk out of this room. So, it is said that an apple does not fall far from its tree. What if we took that apple and we gave it a little kick so that it is no longer, so that its distance a little bit further from its immediate location as the tree? Let's say we pick up that apple and we run as far as our out-of-shape bodies will allow us to, and we end up in a completely new garden with orange trees. And we set down this apple, and its seeds enter into the earth. Do you know what would happen to the seeds in that apple? Does anyone know? Well, it'll sprout an apple tree, right? That's the miracle of life here. So, before I began the journey of reflection, I was tasked with what I should speak about today. And it became more and more obvious that I should talk about apples and oranges because of this phrase that I had heard through so many sources that says, everything produces after its own kind. This is the first law of life, apparently. And so I analyzed this saying, and it holds up pretty well. For example, dogs produce more dogs, humans produce more humans, and an apple will in fact produce more apples. Then I did what I do best. I overanalyzed this statement, that everything produces after its own kind, and I applied it to any sort of possible literary device that could best utilize. Hence the idiom, an apple doesn't fall far from its tree. That's a pun, right? It can adapt, right? It can evolve, but can an apple ever really become something else? We can genetically modify it, but at its core, again, it will always just be an apple. What if we tire of eating the same fruit over and over again, and we find that this fruit does not bring happiness or add substance to our life? What is the course of action that we can take to prevent the same fruit from coming out of our garden? Well, we have to plant a different seed. If we are tired of something in our own life, we have to first acknowledge that it is not going to magically transform to whatever we want it to by simple hope, but with an actual change in our labors. This young woman right here is someone who has planted a seed, and the products of that seed had flourished into something really quite amazing. This is my mother, Noemi Cerecerez, and I just want to give her a little bit of recognition. She just won Teacher of the Year for her district in Harmony School of Innovation. That's a very awesome thing. From very humble beginnings, she and her brother realized that they were living in a situation that they found unsuitable for themselves, and realized that this was something that they could not see into their future. Things like poverty and hunger, moving around a lot, instability, insecurities, things of that sort. And we hear about these stories a lot here in El Paso and Juarez. My mother would tell me stories that despite all the hardships that she and her brother faced, she was able to keep a positive outlook in life because she knew that there was something meaningful coming towards her if she would just focus on her goals. This is where a life-changing journey begins, in our thoughts. Our thoughts can have the power to control our lives. They have the power to dictate decisions and our involuntary actions. Thoughts are private, and they allow us to explore the most complicated parts of our conscience. We're able to problem solve, to question, to relive memories. We're also able to create scenarios that may or may never happen in reality. Thoughts can also be the darkest places we visit because anything goes. There are no limits. What if I told you that we are actually in control of our thoughts? That depending on how we think about an idea, it affects the outcome of any course of action we may take. My mother thought about a positive idea enough that this turned into thinking. A positive idea enough that this thinking turned into believing. And the greatness doesn't stop there. Through thinking and believing, this will inherently lead into action. But there's more. Action that stems from believing, that came from a positive thought, will eventually lead to positive change. The positive change that she accepted into her life was that she was not going to give up. She was not going to allow something like the harshness of poverty affect her life, and that she would continue to hope for something better for her family. Now, this is a really difficult thing to do because we hear stories about how people who are going through these harshnesses sometimes give up because it's too much to bear. We hear that they maybe become complacent and they start to tell themselves, maybe it could be worse. So they don't allow themselves the opportunity to grow and move beyond that. But no matter what challenge came forward, anything that came out of nowhere to try and drag my mother down, she soldiered on. When she graduated high school, she had dreams of attending college and finding a career suitable for her and her family. And then, she had her firstborn daughter, my sister Sarah. She decided to postpone her studies and stay at home to take care of her daughter. She planned ahead to a time when my sister would be enrolled into the school system so that she could go on and continue her education. And then, ta-da, her second child was born. I came out, and so again, her efforts were just a little bit postponed, and she said, I need to stay home and nurture my children. I'll go ahead and put this dream of mine on standby. And so I was about the age of 6, and she was literally on the verge of heading towards EPCC when we got the news of the third in the family, my sister Amaris. And in the following year, my sister Christian. So here we are, a very happy bunch of siblings. And my mother decided that she knew what was important to her, to stay at home and take care of her children, to give love and nurture and time and energy to these children, because she knew that if she gave that to us right now, it would lead into something positive for us in the future. So, my mother kept these positive thoughts moving forward no matter what occurred. She believed that raising her children was the best course of action to pave the way of greatness. Some people may have chosen the path of staying at home for a month or two, enrolling their kids in daycare, and continuing on. But she knew the importance of having a parent at home. So the time and the energy, as I said, and the love has stayed with me even to this day. And I feel that I'm sure I could speak the same of the 3 of my sisters. So there we were, my mother thinking positively for her future, never losing sight of her goal. And guess what happens next? No more children, right? That was it for us. Life happened, something that nobody could have predicted. My father was injured at work and was unable to work to support the family. My younger sisters were about 2 or 3 years old. My mother then stepped up and swapped roles with my father to be able to provide for her family. He would stay at home while she went out and tried to venture to make some kind of income for us. She got a self-made job in 2001, selling burritos. She became known around Northeast and Central as the burrito lady because her burritos were so good, everyone wanted some. They would ask for her and they would say, when is she coming? Can you come by? What kind do you have? They would know her. And it didn't matter that she was doing this for fun or for survival or any other forced factor. She was giving it her all. Every morning, she would wake up at 4 a.m., get everything ready to make the food fresh, and go out and make her rounds by 7:30. She didn't take any leftovers. She didn't reheat anything. And anything that was left unsold, she would take it to friends or family or distribute it among the homeless that she would pass on the way home. Once things became a little bit stable, she decided that this was now the time to enroll to classes. In 2003, she finally started that journey. Working in the morning, taking classes in the afternoon, and coming home in the evening to study and continue to try and be the best mother that she could. She was tired. She was determined. And she would still tell us that life is about our goals and never giving up. We believed her because she was modeling it for us right in front of our eyes. We realized that goals and dreams aren't achieved instantly. The idea of instant gratification is an issue that must be removed from our minds. She sold burritos until 2006 for 5 long, hard-working years. And in 2007, she received her bachelor's degree in psychology. She was at the ripe age of 39. These were some of the most trying times for all of us. By the time she had graduated, we had already the seed of devotion in our system. we stayed focused on doing our best. My sister graduated from high school a year early, and she was already attending UTEP to get her degree in psychology. She would tell me about the time she remembers she and my mother would take rides to school together. She received her bachelor's degree. I was following close behind. I graduated from high school 1 year early. I was taking classes at UTEP, also trying to get my degree in psychology, eventually switching to English and education. And when I graduated from UTEP in December 2013, I beheld a most wonderful moment. This is me, my sister, my mother, and my aunt. My mother, whom taught us not to become complacent, was now continuing her education to receive her master's. She did it the same time I got my bachelor's. My sister, at this time, also received her master's. My aunt got her bachelor's. My other aunt had graduated with her bachelor's the year before. My uncle had become a teacher already. So, it sounds like I'm bragging about my family, and I kind of am. After all the support my family had provided for me, all the positive thinking amidst the struggle that they faced before, and the actions that we all took collectively, we literally changed the lifestyle and position of our family. We have planted a new seed for our upcoming generations. We reset the standard. And I have no doubt in my mind that the following generations will lead to bigger and better greatness. It doesn't matter how long it takes. What matters is how much commitment one puts into their dreams. This is my son, Brendan, 7 years old, second grade, was awarded a first place ribbon for his book report amongst all the kids in his school. And I am proud of him. You see, success doesn't land on our hands. It's something that we have to consciously go out and reach for. So when our thoughts are attempting to drag us down into the abyss, tell yourself, I am in control. The negativity that surrounds us will always be there. There's no changing it. But I promise that you are strong enough to make it through and change your life for the better if you rework your thinking and believe and act upon it. So is it okay to come from a line of bad apples? Of course, yes. Because you can always go and plant a different kind of seed for yourself and make that life so much more sweeter for yourself and those whose lives you are affecting. And it is true, someone will always be looking up to you for an answer or for guidance. Through my experiences, I have learned not just through the positive role models in my life, but also some very, very devastating incidents that occurred and came to try my strength. Forgiveness. What do we know about this term? It is defined as not feeling anger or resentment towards a person or an offense, for an offense, flaw, or mistake. There were people whom I trusted and felt the need to resent after the trust was broken. But my mood would always return to the same place whenever the incident came up into my head. I was negative and bitter. I had said I forgave them, but they were just words that were thrown around by habit. I started to look closely within myself for an answer. Why is it that I couldn't shake these feelings and attachments to things that had occurred in the past? Well, it was because I hadn't truly forgiven them. I couldn't. I did not understand their struggle. And this is probably the most difficult thing to do, trying to understand the other person's point of view. Why did they do what they did? And I remembered, it's their seed. It's their seed. They came from a specific seed and are producing the same in their life. I could never, in this moment, in any situation moving forward, put blame upon someone and check to see if my judgment was unfair due to the fact that maybe these people have been shown no other way to deal with their emotions and how to cope and how to communicate. It was then that I was able to understand and truly forgive them, for I saw in them humanity and the potential to grow. My outlook of them changed and wished positively of them and their lives, and then my mentality began to improve. I want you to think of someone, an individual who has wronged you. Have you forgiven them? Think about the things that they did. Are you still upset with the way that things happened? If so, I want you to imagine that they are a fruit and that the seed inside of them was not placed there by their own will, but by the tree that they originated from. I have learned to forgive after heartbreak, after being insulted, after being manipulated and broken down. It was tough, but I fought with the demons and I changed it all into strength, knowing that in the end, it will justify the pain that it took to get there. The mistakes we make are a natural and powerful process of learning. So do not dwell on them and let them control over your life. Forgive yourself and allow yourself to be free to grow. In our life, we are faced with pressure. From doing good in school to being proactive citizens in a struggling nation, the traditional outlook in life is that we have to become someone of importance. The only problem with that is that we tend to create the idea that others can be more special or more important than another. Humility, not to be confused with humiliation, is a modest or low view of someone's own life, where they don't brag or feel that their efforts are all that important. And I'm here to tell you that to hell with being humble. Now, we may have to be careful because we don't want to come across as narcissistic, but if our intentions and our actions are good, then go ahead and let your true colors shine. A true leader and a person of success doesn't think that they are greater, but that they are all others have the capability to provide something of importance to the world. That is the difference between someone who brags to belittle and someone who shows others from their experience and achievements in order to inspire and to teach. And we need to look at others who have succeeded and not envy them. We must view them in the same way that they view the world, who have succeeded and grow, and in time that we can all accomplish greatness. I know from experience what it is like to be misjudged. People, back in the day when I was trying to get a teaching job, would look at me and my tattoos and my long hair, I don't know if you guys remember that, and my piercing, and think to themselves, he can't be a teacher. They would go so far as to even tell me that they don't think I'm going to make it to be a teacher. I've never tried to be better than anyone else. I've never tried to rub it in their face after accomplishing what I have accomplished. But I am up here as proof that if you keep your goals in check, if you keep on moving forward, that it is completely possible to end up where you want to be. No matter what anyone says, keep your mind in a positive outlook. Believe in it, take action, and positive change will come. It is stressful to think that we always have to keep outdoing ourselves sometimes. They say, you have to do better every day. But I'm here to tell you as well that you don't have to do better every single day. You don't have to reach a new limit. What's important is that you let passion take over. Because when you wake up and you do your best, your life will start to have a sense of fulfillment. Besides, being the best is a matter of perspective. So don't worry. Just do you and have a good heart about it. Is everyone doing okay? Everyone here is by now thinking, what kind of feelings convention did we walk into? People on the back are thinking to themselves, who is this, Tony Robbins? Did you know it is impossible to smile with your teeth showing and still be able to breathe in and out through your nose? Yes, it is impossible to smile with your teeth and still be able to breathe in and out through your nose. And now that maybe some of you have tried it, you realize that it is indeed totally possible. And you now feel a little bit silly, and hopefully that produced a genuine smile upon your face. Laughter, in any form, is perhaps the most invigorating thing in life. It produces so many positive benefits. So let me give you a few of them. It helps by improving blood flow in your body. Blood flow is so important, you guys. You get more oxygen to the brain, and remember, your brain is at the center of everything. Better blood flow can also help you with things like a heart attack. Laughter can also help relieve the pain by releasing endorphins in our body. They always say that laughter is the best medicine. So whenever you're feeling down and you have a good laugh, it seems as though that pain has gone away. It also is good to ease the feelings of depression and anxiety by reducing the stress hormones. Now, depression is something that we can't easily take away by laughing or telling someone to cheer up. It's something that takes a long process of curing and diagnosing and that sort of thing. But if we could at least ease some of those feelings that come with depression and anxiety, it is such a burden lifted off of our shoulders. Laughter can also help burn calories by increasing our heart rate. This is true. And unfortunately, this doesn't take the place of a regular cardio exercise. You can't laugh yourself into a smaller pant size. And then the last one is that it can help your immune system by boosting infection-fighting antibodies. So with laughter, we literally have the ability to improve our lives and also to light up the atmosphere. Children and infants smile and laugh to natural, positive stimuli. It isn't something that you teach people to do, but it is something that people are often taught not to do as much as they grow up. Innocence and the spark within us gets beaten out of us at such an early age. We are restricted from wondering and exploring and enjoying life because we have to grow up and be responsible. We forget how to play, and in that moment we become lifeless and dull and without laughter. So I'm here to tell you that laughing has helped me regain a sense of myself and think clearly about why positive thinking will be the way to a greater future. So go out and share with your friends a funny story, act silly, and smile more. Times are passing us by fast. So what's the end result? How do we live a much more practical life? Well, I am definitely here to say that it's much more easier said than done, but I hope to instill at least a reminder that we sometimes need to build and strengthen our own habits. Although we may not be able to transform what has been consumed, we may still plant a new seed and bring forth a life that is sweet. Number one, be grateful. Greatness doesn't come in these obvious packages. We are definitely grateful when someone lends us money, when we get a ride somewhere, when we receive a gift. The small things are what makes each day a blessing. Things like our ability to perceive with our senses, that you woke up, that you were able to walk to school, to come and learn and think for yourself. That is something to be grateful for. Number two, positive thinking. We are in control of our thoughts. Positive thinking leads to positive action and will result in positive change. Focus on the now. This is something I see around quite often. Going to public events, concerts, and what have you, theater performances. And people like to live to create a memory through, let's say, a device. And who can you tell me in this picture is the happiest amongst them all?
The old lady.
The little old lady down here on the bottom. And why do you believe that is?
She's not focusing on the camera.
She's focusing on what's in front of her. It is good to focus and have goals for your future, but what's important to realize is that your life is happening right now. Don't let something like a device record the memory for you. Your brain is designed to do that. You're never going to look at that picture or video again once you stop recording. Am I right? Live in the moment. Live for the now. Then the last one. Practice forgiveness and kindness. Nobody is perfect. Think about the seed that others were given. Don't be so quick to judge. As I said before, the apple doesn't fall far from its tree. And here's what it means. Even though we may not be able to change where we come from, we are able to plant a new seed. Dr. King stated, darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Thank you, guys.